about a week before Christmas, I got pretty sick. Like it was maybe even, I don't know, man. It was probably about 10 days worth of sickness. In that week, I wasn't at work. I had the work was slow anyway. I wound up getting sick. Everybody else at the house was sick, type thing. You know how it goes. So I was sitting around just like bullshitting and talking to people and stuff, and you know, I had about, I don't know, I want to say it was 5 different folks, you know, that kind of like started conversations with me. Some of them, you know, started in the comments. Some of them started in the you know, via Instagram or something to that extent. And I'm not dropping any names or anything, but I got like 3 shame on yous for 3 different knives that I've reviewed in the last a year, I guess. You know, it was you know, why would you buy the bug out? You know, Chinese piece of shit. You know, it's fake. And yeah, I get it. I understand. If you fucking pay attention to what I'm saying in the video, you know, I'm not, you know, not endorsing it. I had it around, had a real one around, doing a comparison video. It saved a couple people from buying a fake. My job's fucking done. You know, period. You know, and it really don't matter. And I had a shame on you for buying the Harbor Freight knife. And none of them were saying shame on you for this, shame on you for that. You know, it was like, why would you even support that? I thought you were a Todd Big fan. You're supporting a company that has their knives made in China. It's no better than eafengrow. Eafengrow knife, you know, like kind of got shoved down my throat when I bought the 905 and the 906. Of course, those might not be copies of other knives, but what they were was. They were made by a company that makes, this was the argument that the dude made. He said, you know, that knife company pretty much makes knives that compete with Striders, and they sell them for $75. And, you know, they look like a Strider. They don't say Strider on them. They don't say Strider on them, you know, but they, it's not a counterfeit. It's a copy, clone, whatever you want to, I don't know, man. Fuck the terminology. No, I don't care. But it got me in a mood. I was like, man, I'm for a couple of different reasons, it kind of set me back. You know, one, April of last year, Hogue was issued a cease and desist in court for infringing upon Benchmade's intellectual property. The Hogue Trauma line is the knife that we're talking about, and the Benchmade Triage. They were both offered in the same colors, the same blade shapes. Both of them are ugly fucking knives. Like most people want one or the other, but it doesn't matter. Hogue did exactly what eafengrow has been doing for years, and it got swept up underneath the rug. One of the guys that said something to me about the eafengrow shit was a YouTuber. I go back in his channel, and he's singing Hogue's praises for making the trauma line. Not once did he say shit about the trauma line being a copy of a Triage. He did mention that it compares to the Triage. It was made to compete with the Triage, but he never once said shame on fucking Hogue for creating a knife that, or you know, like designing a knife that was going to get them a court-ordered cease and desist. They have to April the 22nd of this year, 2024, to get all that shit off the shelves, out of the distributors' warehouses, and get them gone. They can't make them anymore. It's the trauma line, Hogue trauma line. Do your homework. Don't take my word for it. But this is why I kind of got in my feels. Is because most of you don't want to know. When it's a company you like, most of you don't want to know, you know, what's actually going on. And if you do know what's going on, it's even worse because you choose to ignore it. Hogue is a much superior company to Benchmade, but they can't design a fucking knife, not a folder. Just, sorry. I like hogue. I have hogue grips on every AR, every M4 that I've ever built. That's the term we use. I don't build guns, modify them, whatever. But anywho, it's people don't want to talk about it. You know, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. That's a USA-made prestigious company. You know, Doug Ritter's over there. Speaking of which, you know, like, I mean, I'll say that the Ritter Hogue, the RSK, bears lots of resemblance to the Freak, Mini Freak, even the Griptilian, which was a male Purdue design. You always hear Metal Complex say something on the extent of, you know, this is how it stacks up against the Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. Mel Purdue designed the Griptilian. Doug may have had some sort of part in it. Mel Purdue's name is on the design. If Doug's name was, or if Doug had a part in designing it, it's just not able to be found, you know? And that's fine, it doesn't matter. I very much respect Ritter for what he's done for the community and all the knife right stuff. I've got no problem with that. What I got a problem with is how holier you are when eafengrow is coming out with a knife that doesn't even look like a Strider. It doesn't perform like a Strider. Got better action. Might not stay as sharp as long as a Strider. It will come with the edge though, and without lock stick. You know, like it'll come out of the box without a lot of issues. What you might have is some stripped out screws. This is an eafengrow thing that we see, and this is probably just part of the quality of the build. But it's not gonna pass as a Strider. If you pull it out of your pocket and somebody says, "Is that a Strider?" Like, no, you're gonna have to be, you know, like, it's not. This is not a Strider. This is an eafengrow. It's a knife that was designed to look like a Strider. There's a lot of people that are holier than thou that will straight up crucify eafengrow for doing what they do, but they give Hogue the free pass, and Hogue has been taken to court. It's hard to take a Chinese company to court. It's almost impossible. Probably is impossible. You know, the Chinese going to do what they're going to do. And does that mean we should support them? No. No. If a company is ripping another company off on design, fuck that company. I don't dismiss any company because I see it a lot, but I keep up with what's going on in knife courts. You know, that's not what it's really called, but I kind of keep up with what's going on in the knife world. At one time, me and Courtney were thinking about doing a segment on our channel that went over all this little teeny, you know, bullshit that everybody seems to overlook. We decided not to, you know, because a lot of controversial topics come up. Didn't want the feedback. I didn't want the backlash, and I didn't want the feedback. But it really amazes me how many people choose to ignore things that happen in court, and you'll still sing the praises of a company that's doing the same damn thing. The only reason you're mad about it when eafengrow does it is because it's Chinese. So is the steel that's in your favorite American knives. There is no such thing as U.S. steel. There's a such thing as U.S. steel companies. There's steel that's made here in the United States of America, but it's all dug out of the ground in the Congo. It's all dug out of the ground in Russia, Ukraine, and China. It's all dug out of the ground. We don't even own those mining companies in the Congo anymore. All that stuff's dug out of the ground somewhere else. You can't make titanium. Like, you cannot make titanium without sucking fucking China's dick. So if you got a titanium frame lock with some super steel, no, it's half Chinese. And maybe that's just the way I look at it. You know, buy what you want to buy. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But what's with the holier than thou like attitude toward this shit? You know, like, why do you choose to ignore it when Hogue does it, and you choose to, like, straight up, you know, sacrifice and crucify a Chinese company that probably won't be here in 5 years anyway. If they are, they'll probably just be changing their name. Okay. Anyway, that's that. That's the Joe X stuff. This video is already like 10 minutes, so I'll probably just talk about that later. But I'm in a cool down period, man. You know, like I'm trying to like file my thoughts together on how I feel about things, man. There's a lot of great people and a lot of intelligent individuals in the knife community, but when it comes to those heartstrings, there's a lot of you that choose to ignore when it's an okay company doing it. And Hogue's not the only one. Hogue's not like there's others out there. Do your homework. Not gonna fucking, let's talk about it. You know, I can point you in half a dozen other directions that you can go tally your way down a wormhole if you want to. But I mean, like, do a little bit of research on your own. I don't get it, man. I'm so fucking confused. Like, you know, how it's such a deal breaker in you know, in one circumstance, and it's completely, you know, like just completely fucking shoved up underneath the rug in another. I have still yet to see. I have seen so many videos on the triage versus the trauma line. Nobody has the fucking balls to say anything about it. I wanted to buy one of each just so I could do the fucking video. They're ugly. I don't want them. I don't need them. I'm not saying they're useless. I think they're designed for EMTs, firemen, shit like that. It's a, you know, it's a rescue type of knife. I got no use for it. Is that why you don't care? Because it's not a knife that you have a use for, or that it's not a top 10 knife? You know, it's not a holy grail knife. It's just one of those stock standard, you know. And the biggest argument that gets thrown up in my face whenever I say something about Hogue doing it to Benchmade is, well, there's so many knife designs out now. It's real hard not to copy somebody. Eafengrow fucking 226 or whatever the hell it's called. I've never owned one. I don't own one now. I don't plan on buying one. It doesn't look fucking shit like a Strider. It has the basic shape of a Strider. A basic. Could not the same thing be said about some other USA designers? Really? You know, seriously? I mean, you know, like, I can think of 3 right now that have the basic handle shape. And, you know, when you have that basic handle shape, you can't really do a whole lot of nothing else with the blade shape except for change the grind type. And Strider's got so many grind types now, it's going to be real hard for you to, whether they come out with it first or not. You know, the Strider's always kind of look like this, like a Spyderco with a gun stock handle. That's kind of what a Strider reminds me of. That's okay. You know, like, it doesn't matter, man. I don't care who gets their inspirations from where. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make a fuck. You know the Chinese are making what they think's gonna sell. So are the fucking Americans, man. The Americans are too. You know, we're gonna make what we think is gonna sell. We don't deliberately, in your face, shove a Strider down your throat from Benchmade. You know, Benchmade's smarter than that. One thing, you know, like, I don't even like Benchmade. One thing I'll say about Benchmade is they are the fucking guys that get copied. Why do you think that is? Have you ever looked at their design staff? You know, Warren Osborne's dead. He died in 2016. Warren Osborne. He designed the 940, the Rift, the Contago, amongst others. Had nothing to do with the Mini 940 or the 940.5 or whatever the hell it's called, the 945. No, nothing to do with that design at all, except that he designed the full-size model of it, and they shrunk it down, and, you know, they're still using the basic design. Like, you'll never see another company on the face of the earth, maybe except for Spyderco, like Kevin Smock, stuff like that, you know, where you have this tier of knife designers. Mel Purdue, Alan Elishwitz. So many, you know, and I'm going back in the day, man, because I don't even keep up with Benchmade anymore. I really don't. I don't want a Benchmade anymore. But the fact is when somebody's getting copied, I would say 9 times out of 10 it's Benchmade. And to wrap this up, I got to talk to a fella in the design staff at Gibson Guitar. A little bit of backstory. If you're still watching, you get you a little bit of side story. This is about guitars. It ain't got nothing to do with knives. All right. There's a Gibson Guitar factory in Memphis, Tennessee, or there was. I don't even know if it's still in existence. They used to make the hollow body, you know, like the electric guitars that were hollow body. Anyway, they I'm trying to think of the blues player, Lucille, B.B. King, you know, like that, you know, that style, you know, like what Dave Grohl plays, what you know, like, man, there's Oasis, several bands play these hollow body guitars, and there's also a factory in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where all the Les Pauls and SGs are made. All right, so I live in Tennessee. I was in a musical circle for a little while in my life. I did a lot of guitar repair. I've repaired some guitars. You've heard of their owners. I had, at one time, you can ask Courtney, I had like 12 guitars at the house. 5 of them were sent in by the same dude. He wanted all of his pickups taken out and new pickups put in, new wiring. There's different grades of wiring. And when these guitars have to sit in these buses and in the heat and then in the cold, and they're driving from Ontario to San Antonio to, you know, Miami back to Wyoming and stuff, a lot of humidity changes. Maybe, you know, like, you know, seasonal, the temperature changes are probably pretty moderate, but the humidity changes. So like to battle that, you upgrade your internals. Okay, all that aside, got to speak with somebody in research and development at Gibson Guitar Company at one point, and I won't drop any names, but I was needing a lot of parts. And I'd asked him, I was like, dude, did you know that you could buy an AliExpress? Like, somebody brought me, this is the first counterfeit product that I ever knew existed. It's like gullible I am, you know, but I said, did you know that you can buy a Gibson Les Paul off of AliExpress? It says Gibson, it says Les Paul on it. And he just started laughing. He said, yeah. And I was like, does that bother y'all? And he was like, no, not at all, man. He was like, he said the guitars are shit, and I feel sorry for people who get them. And he's not lying, man. On the one that I had, the neck was unfixable. It was, I don't know what, I mean, like, it wasn't broken. It was just, it had like a knot. Like, it's like the bar, the tension bar didn't go up far enough, and like the wood started insetting. So it was weird, you know, like what was going on. There was nothing I could do for it. I thought it was a real Gibson Les Paul, and he was like, no, man, we don't give a shit. I mean, they pump them out and people can buy them all day. He said, you know, the #1 product that Gibson makes money on every year? And I was like, what's that? And he said, keys, tuning machines, machine heads, tuning keys. You know how you tune your guitar at the end? Because the ones that are sold from China come with the shittiest fucking tuners that you that you can buy. So people will buy these Gibson tuners at $70-something per set. They make more money off of their tuners than they do off of their guitars. They cost $5,000 a piece. There's more people buying tuners. He was like, and it just goes down from there. Guitars are at pretty much the very bottom of the list. Keys, cases to keep them in, because they don't come with good cases. Even if you like buy the case, it's usually like glorified fucking cardboard, like painted cardboard or something. So good cases to keep them in. Pickups, potentiometers, knobs, hardware, nuts, bolts. Fucking Gibson has it all. You can buy a complete upgrade set, stick it on your guitar, and You'll almost be there. You may still have that little warbly neck, you know, like on the one that I was trying to repair. It was playable. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to depend on it for money. You know, like if I was making money, like playing music or recording music, especially. I wouldn't have wanted to depend on that guitar, but it was playable. Like you could play Simple Man or some Leonard Skinner, some 3-chord shit, you know, down here. Like when you start sliding down here at about the 12th fret and back, you couldn't keep it intonated. You know, so anyway, you know, bridges, all that stuff, man. All the different parts that actually come on a Gibson. If you was to buy it all, you're spending about $400. So you spend $250 on a AliExpress guitar, and then this is at the time. This was back in 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. So you're spending about $400 on the hardware kit. Every piece of hardware that's on a Gibson standard, Les Paul or SG, whatever. SG has less hardware, so probably not as much. Doesn't have much less hardware, but it does have less hardware. All right, so you get your you get all that shit, right? Your pick guard, all your plastic pieces, your switcher knob, all that stuff. About $400. Spend $250 on a Chinese guitar, and you got $650 wrapped up in a guitar that's not even a Gibson. And at the time, you could buy a Gibson Les Paul Studio for $5.99, and he said that's what they did it for. He was like, for those who know, we'll buy a Studio, and they already have all that shit and a good neck. The difference is they don't have mother of pearl inlays up there at the top of the headstock saying it was a Gibson. Gibson didn't give a fuck about copies, counterfeits. Didn't bother them a bit. He was like, the guy that buys the Ibanez will one day buy a Gibson. The guy out there buying the ESP LTD, the Eclipse, one day he'll buy a Gibson. That's what he really wants. He'll get there eventually. It just might not be there right now. But eventually, if he's buying this, he will buy that. If that's what he really wants. He's biding his time, and he's going to get the actual product at some point in the future. The counterfeits, I don't promote them. I don't. Like, you know, those videos, you know, I've done it. It's my sin. You know it. You'll never have to dig it up on me. You got it. I gave it to you. You didn't have to worry about anybody saying, you're friends with Billy. Did you know he owns some counterfeit knives? I told you about it. One of the first damn things I told you about. I'll tell you about any damn thing else you want to know. You know, I don't care. I'm an open book. But yeah, that's my knife sins. I bought them. I wound up buying a lot of the reels. The real versions, the ones that I didn't like the way they felt in my hand, I didn't buy them. When I got the real ones in and I had them to set beside the fake ones, I gave you a fucking video. And I still catch flack over those videos every day. I should delete them. I'm not going to, because I do get a message every once in a while. Thanks for the video. You saved me from buying a fake. That's what they're fucking there for. That's what they're there for. They're there to help somebody from buying a fake. You know, there's been so many people that know what they're talking about come to me and say, man, I bought a fucking fake and I found out because of your video. Some people buy them in Bass Pro Shop. True story. They'll go in there and they'll buy a damn knife. They'll be thinking they're getting a Benchmade bug out. What they don't know is somebody has already bought that Benchmade bug out, took it out to their truck or their car or whatever, put a fake one inside the box, took it back in the store, exchanged it for a different one. Said something's wrong with this one. The guy behind the counter don't know shit about Benchmade knives. Takes it. Is this one better? Check it before you leave. Yeah, that one's better. That one's better. Takes it back out. Guy takes knife in the fake box. He can't tell the difference. Sticks it right back up underneath the counter. Maybe even ask somebody to look at it to make sure there ain't nothing really wrong with it. All right, guys, just being picky, whatever. Stick it back on the shelf. Stick it back on the shelf. We'll sell it to somebody else. You go in. You handle a real Benchmade bug out. I'll take it. They grab you a knife, and it's not real, man. And it's not their fault. They don't fucking know. They don't know. They have no clue. They don't have an inkling about what is going on when it comes to this stuff. Most people don't. You kind of got to be in the bullshit in order to be able to learn the bullshit. So yeah, man, like once I found out they started counterfeiting guitars, this is like, like I started seeking them out. Not the ones that I can order from AliExpress and those companies, but actually I'd start seeking them out for my friends. Like, hey, did you know they do counterfeit fenders? Yeah, I got one. Like, do you mind if I borrow it? For what? I want to fucking look. I want to take it apart. I want to take it apart and I want to look at it. I want to see the differences between the Stratocaster and the Chinese Stratocaster, the Chinder and the Fender, the Chipson and the Gibson. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy learning the differences, and sometimes it means you got to get in bed with the enemy long enough to figure it all out. But I enjoy that. I do. I enjoy that. And not a broke dick motherfucker, man. I buy whatever I want. Anyway, you guys have a great one. I hope you're doing well. Kind of wanted to explain why the tabletops have disappeared. Plus, one thing I didn't mention is it's kind of got boring. It gets boring just like talking about a knife on a table. That hadn't really changed. Me and Courtney really ain't enjoying that anymore. They're boring to record, and they're boring to watch. I can go back and watch some of your own video. Oh my God. They're boring to record, they're boring to watch. I don't want no part of it. This video's way too fucking long, but hopefully there's enough information in here to help somebody out. Maybe help you understand exactly what's going on with our channel. Sold the TRM Comet, maybe the Mayhem, sold the Spartan Acrobus, sold an 8010. Just about got enough money for a grinder, so those videos start popping up before too long. I won't waste no more of your time today. Thanks for listening to me. Got anything you want to discuss, leave it in the comments below. I love you all. It doesn't matter how you think. I just don't understand it sometimes, man. I just don't understand the psychology, I guess you would say, And I'm not a psychologist, so I shouldn't understand it. Last thing you want me to do is give me some sort of explanation of how you think. I can't even keep up with why I think the way I think sometimes, or feel the way I feel, And sometimes things piss you off. You don't even know why. You try to figure out why, try to dissect that shit. It's like, Billy, you don't even make sense to yourself. That's how it works sometimes, man. Sometimes there's a lot of hypocrisy embedded in your emotions, and that's the part I can't understand, because when you're talking to an intelligent human being, like, what the fuck hypocrisy is, right? Like, you can see the hypocrisy that's boiling out of you, right? Come on, man. At least admit that. At least, or tell me why. Tell me why it's okay for this guy over here and you want to fucking jump my fucking throat over this over there. And it's the same shit. I ain't talking about the clones. I'm talking about the counterfeits. Just talking about eafengrow, Strider-ish type knives, and the hogue, trauma line, triage bullshit. You guys have a great one. We'll catch you on the flip side.